Hey Paul, how are you?
Much. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good.
So good.
So good. It's a sunny
That's
day. I'm in Nashville and it's the weather is perfect. Anytime the weather is the way it is today, it's like, how can you have a bad day? It's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. We've been back and forth. Let me think here. 5 days ago it was 85 degrees, and then the next day it rained, and that turned into snow. This past Sunday was snow, and then we had two great spring days, 50 degrees, perfect. I like hoodie weather, but not hoodie where you're cold, just
Yes.
like comfortable. And now we're kind of back into the 30s and 40s again, and so it's how we roll in Minnesota. It's a disaster.
Oh my gosh. That sounds like the more extreme version of Louisiana. We will go from, oh yeah, it's 97 degrees outside to okay,
Ugh.
all of a sudden it's freezing cold and it rained and all the the bridges are iced over. It's like, what in the world just happened? It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that had to be. Well, I mean, I guess to you it's probably second nature, but it had to be a relatively interesting place to grow up.
Oh yeah, I love it. To this day, I still love it so much. When I first moved to Nashville, my best friend, she was from California, and she was like, I have never heard someone talk about Louisiana so much. You have a sickness. Like, what is it that makes you so obsessed with Louisiana? But it is, our culture is just so vibrant. It's so wild. Like, I didn't know it at the time when I left. I just thought that was kind of everybody has a life like this in
Yeah,
some sort of way, like in their own culture. I did not realize what all we were a part of. And I remember being 16. This is like ridiculous. But I'll tell you a little story. I was 16 years old. I was at my house, and I remember Swamp People, that show came on,
yeah,
and they had subtitles. And I was like, why do they have subtitles for English? Like, this is so weird. We're in the United States. They have English subtitles for people who are speaking English. This is so strange. And it was the first realization of, wait, oh my gosh, people can't understand this. Oh my gosh, I live in a place where what I grew up hearing my whole life isn't like perceived by everyone else. It was the first time I realized I absolutely live in a subculture that I just didn't know existed because I was in the middle of it, you know. But
yeah,
I grew up definitely surrounded by the swamp, and I didn't necessarily wrestle alligators. We more just swam in the place where the alligators were and tubed and
sure,
tubed stuff.
no
I
big
know
deal.
it's hard to get away from it in Louisiana. I feel like there's alligators in every body of water. It's just par for the course, you know?
Yeah, and that's why, to me, but it's, I think to the rest of us, it's bizarre. And everybody that I know that, because I know quite like a handful of people who have been down there recently, and always have two things to say. The one consistency, or the two consistencies, were absolutely love it, but it's
Yeah.
also like you're on another planet or in another world. You know what I mean? So
It's very true. I had actual culture shock when I moved out of Louisiana. I didn't realize it at the time, but I people would always say if they like you, they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so good to run into you. So good meeting you. Let's go to a cafe and get a coffee." And I was like, "Okay." And I kind of got used to that. After like a year of that, I'm like, why doesn't anybody invite you to their house? This is so strange. Because in Louisiana culture, if you meet someone and you're like, oh my gosh, that was such a fun hang, you say, hey, come over for a cup of coffee and I'll fix a pot of gumbo and we'll just have a good old night. And you're like all in the same house together, just enjoying each other's company. It was definitely a culture shock leaving Louisiana. And so for that reason, I try to go back as much as I possibly can.
yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously the culture is very different in Minnesota, but I think we kind of have a similar, um, just in that we're a bit different than the rest of the country. I mean, my dad is from a little town of 2,500, 10 miles south of the Canadian border, way up north
Wow.
Minnesota. Okay. I mean,
Wow.
you want it different kind of culture shock. You want culture shock. How about kids in hockey skates out on the street
Yep.
because it's cold enough that it freezes, and maybe you're surrounded by a foot of snow with 2 to 3 foot banks, and it's -5, and they're just out there playing like it's no big deal. Yeah, so it's
Wow.
different kind of culture shock, but it would be culture
Yep.
shock for sure.
Yeah.
And They talk different up there too, you know,
Oh
sort of like
yeah.
down there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. You betcha. Yeah. It's thick
Dude,
up there. So
did you ever go ice fishing? Is
I
that a
haven't
thing?
ever, it doesn't, yeah, it totally is a thing. People
Okay.
have, people have ice houses with multiple rooms in them. Oh yeah. Heaters, direct TV, PlayStations. Oh yeah. They're crazy.
Oh my gosh. I
I
gotta
don't get
jump in
into
on
it.
that. At some point, I gotta
Yeah.
jump in on that. I
Yeah.
uh grew up deep sea fishing or fishing in the swamps. I never grew up ice fishing. I think I would be terrified to go out on ice like that and like that. I don't
It's,
know if I could
it's,
do it.
I'm native and it's an unsettling feeling to me.
Yeah.
It, because it's the rule of thumb is that doesn't matter how thick it is, it's ice. So it's never
Mhm.
100% safe.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Yeah.
I'll skate on it, but I even get little, we have a pond out in our backyard at home and it's small, so it freezes easy. But even then, I'm just like, I don't know. So yeah, I've never been into the ice fishing. I'm not even into summer fishing all that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's I can see it being relaxing, just sitting out of the boat,
Mhm.
and we've got a lot of lakes here. We don't have swamps, but we got a boatload of lakes. So uh,
Yeah.
anyway, so you have music coming, I hear.
I am so pumped. I do. May 12th is when the album is dropping, and I cannot wait. I love this record. I don't want to, how like people are like, this is my favorite record I've ever done. I don't want to say that because that sounds bad, but I love this record. I love it so much. I am so grateful for the time I got to write these songs and just sit and learn learn new perspectives of writing, learn new melodies and ways to draw from like the people that I got to write with for this record are legends in their own right. They're so talented. And working with Mike Elizondo, I feel like I came alive in a way that was so refreshing and so renewing. And I cannot wait for y'all to hear it.
You know what? I think it's totally fair to say this is my favorite record yet because it's the one that you just got done pouring your heart and soul into. You know what
Yes.
I mean? It is a cliche band person or artist person thing to say, but it's also it's probably true in that moment.
Mhm.
Like I said, you just got done laboring over it. So I got no problem with that. You say that. I think
Yeah.
it's got a really interesting album title. What's that? What's the story behind the album title?
It being self-titled.
Just joking.
No, I love
Yeah,
it.
it's can you
It's
can you break down the thought process of this album title? It's really obscure.
It's so obscure, right? So I was born in 1991, and the day that I was born, uh, five other Lauren Ashleys were born on the same exact floor. I'm like, hey, mom, was that not a cue? Come on, most common name ever. No, I'm kidding. And down in South Louisiana,
It's
Daigle
so funny.
is super common. It's like Smith or Jackson. Anyway, so the the purpose of it being self-titled was the fact that it's been 5 years since I've released a record, and the amount that my life has changed in the past 5 years has kind of been revolutionary. And my friends, we were at dinner, and they said, "Hey, what are you gonna call this record?" And I said, y'all, we've been working on this record for 2 years. And I don't have a song title. I mean, I don't have a album title by now. I don't know what it should be, but maybe I'll just go through some lyrics and circle some words and make it a thing. And they're like, yeah, we know why you can't figure it out yet. And I said, why? They said, because it should be self-titled. And I said, come on, really? They're like, yeah, it really should because of how much of you is actually on this record, like how much of your
Right.
personal experience. My voice has changed so much in the past 5 years. I didn't know this, but funny enough, a, a a female vocalist comes into their prime, if you will, in their 30s. And I thought, okay, your voice lasts, but they said the 30s is when you really get all the tone, when everything takes its fullest shape. And I can feel that. My voice has changed in so many ways, and things that
Wow.
I wasn't able to do on any of the previous records. I was able to incorporate and bring in on this one. So it's been such a fun process. I've got to learn a lot about myself, but also enhance my craft. And yeah, I think you'll hear that on the record.
That's awesome. I love that. I feel like if I was a writer, songwriter in a band, whatever, I kind of feel like that would be one of the best parts of it is I feel like now again, I have no idea, but you know, like I always envision myself being a part of a band, and I can see if you stumble into a producer that you really, really like, working with them over and over again. But again, where I was starting with it was, if I was an artist, I would think that writing with different people and having different people produce would be the way to go, just because it's going to expose you to a whole, you know, to different ways, perspectives, etc., techniques,
Oh
melodies, all
yeah,
that stuff that you're talking about. And so, yeah, I would think that'd be the best part of it.
1,000%. It was so much fun because I came from a totally different, on my previous record, it was an entirely different producing experience. And the first, like Look Up Child, it was kind of the whole thing where we started vocals at midnight and I'd sing till like 4 o'clock in the morning, right? I was just like such a night owl on that record. But this record comes along and Mike is like, hey, I love you, but that ain't the way that this thing's gonna go down. And I was like, come on now, like I can't be singing during the day. I'm like used to touring. My voice doesn't work during the day. And he told me this. He said, give me 2 weeks. Just give me 2 weeks. If you hate it, I will switch to your schedule. But if it works, can we stick to it? And I was like, you get 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, you know? And I fell in love. We would start every day around 1 p.m. and we'd wrap up around 6. And I still had a life, you know. There was something about, we accomplished more in the 2 months that I was in the studio than I had in a year. It was so crazy. But he would challenge me on certain things. I was the person that was always singing 15 takes, 30 takes. I just wanted to sing it over and over and over. And for this record, I went down the same time the band did. So we were all on the floor at the same time, working off of each other, feeding off of each other's energy, listening to each other really intently. And he was kind of a stickler about it being a one take situation. Don't get me wrong, like I did do some overdubs, but
Yeah.
he didn't want to splice and dice a bunch of different comps. He was like, I want people to hear exactly what happened in the moment in which it was recorded and keep the conversation between the band members and the vocalist alive. And so for that, it was such a new experience and so beautiful. I'm with you on getting these new experiences and how it enhances your the overall quality of your work. I would say having more influences.
I personally, I 100% back that as a music fan. I like the one take thing. It's not that, again, like you said, there's going to be overdubs, whatever, but I feel like if it's pieced together, you know what I mean? It loses some of the soul, in my opinion. It becomes more like work than a craft, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Or an art. But
Yeah.
but I mean,
could
at the same
not
time,
agree more.
okay, good.
Yeah.
I was raised hard on, in my opinion, the greats. I was, first thing I heard was the Beach Boys. And
Yes.
I don't know that there's a greater visionary in the history of music than Brian Wilson.
Mhm.
And then when I came into my own, it was all Pearl Jam, and that's how they did it. Like they
Yes.
got in a room together as guys and recorded a record, you know. And
Yep.
so yeah, I'm 100% behind this.
I love it. There was this one moment where I said, hey, Mike, that's not my best vocal take. Can we just cut this section from this song or from this take and just throw it on top? And he said,
He's like, nope.
do you see that the guitar player did this riff specifically after because of the way that you sang this? He said, if you cut that out, that conversation gets lost. And people who are really listening to music will know, they will feel that. I was like, keep the bad take. I don't care. Like there are moments where I'm flat, where I there was one song that he left on there. I did a run and did not nail I'm sliding all over the place. It's not clean.
Wow.
And he was like, nope, that's what it's gonna be. And it's vulnerable. Also, why it's self-titled is because there's parts of me I'm like, oh, that's not a professional Lauren Daigle. That's like, here's the human in me. Like, yeah, I messed that note up. Okay, it's part of it. And if you go back and listen, Whitney Houston to me is by far one of the greatest vocalists of all time. Like,
no,
cow.
not one of.
Yeah,
she number one.
Okay, okay,
I mean,
good.
No disrespect to Adele or Aretha Franklin or whoever. It's Whitney. No. Come on. Anyway,
Whitney, the way that she was so technically sound, but also so emotive. that combination is like, whew, it's bone chilling. And if you go back, there was this one time I was like, I'm going to really study her because I need to get better. Like, I want to get better. And if I become like a bird and like mimic her, then I'll get stronger. And as I listened, I was like, whoa, she has flat notes. Wait, she's sharp right there. Wait, hold on. Whitney Houston. And I say this as a positive to show that when you have the power to sing the way that she did, with the conviction that she did, and with the all of those human characteristics, all of the textures, all the placements that she could bring her voice, it just makes the listening experience that much richer, and it just dives straight into your soul. It's so taking some of these human characteristics out of it, it loses the sensibility of like, oh, I can relate to that.
Okay.
If Whitney Houston can sing a flat note and make you drool, then what are we working so hard for? I mean, it's like,
you know what? And I think, first off, again, only speaking for me, I would take those imperfections in a heartbeat. And second of all, I probably wouldn't even notice them. But I think also just with what we've gone through as a whole since, March of 2020, I think
yeah,
people are looking for authenticity. And
yes.
then also, I just want to give you one Whitney moment.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? Like when the camera slowly comes in and she just opens
Yes.
that thing up. Oh my God. And she's sitting in
Yes.
the chair like this.
Yes.
We
Yes.
just showed, I got two little girls. We just showed them that video like 3 nights ago. So it was right here. And so when you said her voice can suck you in or whatever, like even the imperfections, I got chills too. Because
Yes.
I thought of that moment where the song, we're like, what is it? Like 3/4 after maybe a
Mhm.
bridge or something. And it just
Mhm.
explodes. It's like, whoo, yep, I got him again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is powerful. She was one of the best communicators of all time. And to get your kids involved on, like, how old are they?
6 and 10.
Oh, that was when my life got rocked by Whitney Houston. Rocked. I
Yeah.
remember back in the day without the streaming, I would lay next to the radio, just waiting and waiting and waiting. Like, how much longer until Whitney comes on? And you know what? It's so funny. I knew all of her hits, but the older I've gotten, it has infiltrated. Her music has then taken on a whole new shape in my life, being on this side of music now. The respect that I have for her, I did this Clive Davis event back in February, and they honored Whitney. They did a tribute because it's been 10 years since she's passed.
Mm.
Just realizing the the relationship between she and Clive was so powerful. I just have so much respect for her. I'm like, I want, even beyond the way that everything turned out, like, just, I have so much respect for her and the way that she was able to use her voice to literally transform the entire next generation of vocalists, like, bar none.
Yeah. Yeah. We got the kids. I mean, they've been around music from day one, and it's and they're pretty diverse. They're pretty versatile. I like it. Like
Yeah.
we got Stranger Things right now, so the 10-year-old is all about Master of Puppets. Anyway, okay. I'm being told we need to do this. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. The new album, self-titled, because it's all you, is out on the 12th,
Yeah.
and people should go pre-save it now. Okay. And in like a month, you're going to be here. I don't want to scare you. Target Center is September 30th.
Oh,
You're going to come here to
yes,
Studio C.
for the
Yeah.
lounge. Yes.
Yeah. And you've been here before in that very room.
Yes.
I don't want to freak you out. A couple of years ago on May 15th, we got a foot of snow.
Honestly, sign me up. As long as we can get there, sign me up. Because
I mean, the thing,
I don't get the snow. I don't get that
I
down
know.
inside. I'm like, bring it on. I will make all the snow angels. I'll be out and playing in it.
Snow's the best. It's
Mhm.
kind of like you talk about the swamp and people kind of probably get like a little cringy, like, oh,
Mhm.
good swamp.
Mhm.
Like people hear the like foot of snow and people go, oh my God, no, cold, dude. It's the best.
It's
Snow's
the
the
best.
best. I love winter. Like
Me too.
people think we're crazy. Like, you know what? Keep thinking we're flyover country. You just go from coast to coast and leave
Yep.
us alone. we'll just stay here quietly, loving all 4 seasons. We get
Yes.
4 of them. We get 4 seasons. It's the best.
In Louisiana, I think we get 1.5. It's just summer and then just a little more summer. It's like, and then you get a little damp chill in the air that is miserable and makes everybody sick, but there's nothing to pay off for it. So for me, I'm like, I will take the cold any day if there's a payoff, and the payoff is snow. I'm all about it.
Yeah. Well, it was great to talk to you. Hopefully I'll be here this time and get to actually see you. And we're very much looking forward to May 15th. Thanks for that. And then also, again, September 30th, Target Center, the whole big thing.
The whole thing. I can't wait.
Yeah. So be listening
to
cities. Yeah. Be listening to cities so you can win your way into Studio C and hear all of Lauren's imperfections.
Yeah, you will. It's a good stuff.
Thanks for the chat.
Thank you so much. This is awesome.